intelligence, prudence, resilience, boldness and peacefully, because violence benefits them.
Let's get more now on the situation in Venezuela with Máximo Zaldívar. He's the Regional Director for Latin America and the Caribbean at the International Foundation for Electoral Systems. Great to have you back on the BBC. We're seeing these protests across Venezuela, I think 300 different cities and towns, also international protests. What's the reaction to what we're seeing from the opposition?
Thank you, Carl. It's great to be back. No, listening, this is unprecedented, Carl. This is unbelievable. More than 115 cities worldwide, as you said. And but listening, this is the natural action that the opposition had to do to show their public force to the world. When you have the government and the election authorities just looking the other way and don't taking into consideration all the requests, domestic and international, to show the proofs and the vote tallies that he has won, then what other choice they have than to go out to the streets and do this? And let me point out Maria Corina Machado's leadership. It has been valiant, it has been consistent, and she has definitely made the difference in this election. There has been important opposition leadership in the past, some opposition governors, some opposition mayors, and the last more public face, Juan Guaido. But what Maria Corina Machado has done and is doing is remarkable, and I think this is going to change definitely what we're seeing in Venezuela.
Do you think there's a sense of concern among the opposition that time could be running short, that international eyes might begin to look elsewhere, that they have to keep the pressure up now if they do want to force Maduro out?
Exactly, Carl. This is the moment. I mean, there has been some important sign. There was a resolution by the OAS Inter-American Human Rights Committee, Resolution 51 this week, which points out to respect of human rights in Venezuela based on the repression that we're seeing by the regime. So that is important. That definitely was a big step. And yes, and there are other countries who are actually calling upon for the elections to be repeated. And that would be a big mistake, Carl. I don't think repeating the elections will do anybody good.
Why is that? That's something that the opposition has said they will not support. Why do you think that is?
Because I think it falls into the plan of the government, right, of the current regime, which is just to debilitate the opposition, for them to lose the momentum, for them to disintegrate, and it falls into their plan. And what can you do? If you look at the reports of the entities that were allowed to be in Venezuela during the elections, like the Carter Center and an expert panel of the UN, they have clearly pointed out all the irregularities that were conducted during the election and the complete lack of international standards on electoral integrity. So with that, why are you going to repeat to have the same outcome and the same situation when you have the same people managing the elections?
It should be said there were also hundreds of Maduro supporters out in the streets of Caracas today. How much support do you think the current president still has in Venezuela?
That's a great question. Listen, Venezuela was always divided, right? Even during Hugo Chávez's time, he had a huge support, and the opposition had its support. But there was always this sector that was undecided, and I think that undecided group is now completely falling in favor of supporting the opposition. But listen, the government should look into the mirror, Carl. They should remember when Hugo Chávez raised to power, he raised because there was a system that was not any longer sustainable, that the citizens were tired of that political system back then. And that was part of his success to rise to power. And they should look and acknowledge that this is the same situation that is happening now. The system is unsustainable. People are not happy, and they're looking for a change, an urgent change.
Ms. Machado has been warning of another mass exodus, another wave of migration if this situation is not resolved. Do you think that she's right?
Yes, absolutely. Venezuelans are desperate. If you go through the region and you see Colombia, Ecuador, Panama, even in Central America, in Costa Rica, and other places, in Mexico, of course, we're seeing that huge amounts of migrants from Venezuela. And how are you going to stop that if the situation is just going to worse for them? So this is definitely a turning point politically, but also for human rights and the future for all Venezuelans.
Máximo Zaldívar, the Regional Director for Latin America and the Caribbean at the International Foundation for Electoral Systems. Thank you as always.
Thank you.